Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode number 29 here in the Happy Space Prison. After conquering the space in the terms of being able to scan space without worrying about meteors hitting us anymore, we are now going to work on getting our telescope set up so we can probe into deep space and get our star map open. And we're also going to work on doing some solar panels so we can get some free power out of this very bright area that we have. So those are going to be our focuses for today. Before we hop right into what we're going to do today, I wanted to address one thing real quick. At the end of the last episode, we had a notification pop up about a dead arbor tree, and that is down here in our steel production facility. I am fixing it now, but I wanted to show you what happened and how I am addressing it. So we have arbor trees in here, and you can see they're all very much overheated right now. They were much, much worse, to the point, even to the point where a couple of them were so overheated that they unplanted themselves. The issue is we had iron running through here on this conveyor rail because I have iron get sent down here that we can use for steel production. And normally, that's just any little bits of iron left around the map when they get put into central storage. I just send them back down here. The problem is, and hot iron comes from down here and goes up. So like we have it get dropped off here. So we don't have to worry about that either. The hot iron is usually sitting right here in this room where it slowly gets cooled down by our cooling. This iron was because in this area we have some iron from the meteorites, and that's at like 260 degrees. And I was sweeping things, and I set it up to handle the mafic rock and the regolith, but I didn't think about the other items here that are pretty hot. There's not a lot of it, so it going into storage isn't a big deal. But that iron got dropped off down here, it got picked up, and it got shipped down through the rails, and it went right through our trees. So what I'm doing now is I took iron off the whitelist here, so they don't get swept into here, but there is a tuner, or a automatic dispenser right here over the aqua tuner that now is set just for sweep only for iron. And so anytime we sweep iron up from up at the top of the map, we drop it off in this room. It gets picked up just like the iron that comes out of this volcano, gets sent through here, which cools it down some and gets it sent right into the steel room. So that fixes our problem. I'll probably do the same setup with some of the other materials too, and get it so that I can cool them down before they go into storage, if it becomes more of an issue. But I think that because there's just tiny little bits, it's not going to be a problem. Today I want to get working in our area up in our space scanner area. I took some time to set up the glass forge area. It's pretty simple, straightforward. I just have in this room where we already have cooling being handled, and this is going to produce heat. I have the glass forge here. I set it up so that the glass goes down and it lands in this airflow tile space here. It cools down until it turns into glass debris, and then that gets picked up and put in here. What building? Oh, I must have some wires up here that I used the wrong material. And that happens. Let's see. Yeah, I had lead there. That must be the problem. Okay. So we'll put in some steel wires there, and that'll fix it hopefully quickly, because that if those doors don't close and a meteor comes in, it's going to cause me a lot of headaches that I don't want to deal with. So all this system, you can see how there's all this debris down here. It's all doing its job correctly. But what happened is the regolith fell here. It was sitting on that conductive wire, which was made out of lead. And before the RoboMiner could mine it up, it transferred enough heat to melt down the lead wire. And that is why we use steel for everything up here, because the steel can handle that heat from the meteor. Back to our glass system. This system is designed so that the glass will get dropped off here. I have sand that's already delivered. The auto sweeper fills it up. So all we have to do is wait for somebody to come down here and actually do the job of making the glass. Glass gets put in here. Once this is full, it goes into this one. This one is going to be set to 1 kilogram. It's a lower priority. And then I have the automation set up here so that as soon as that gets filled, it says, hey, no more glass. That way we'll get this one filled up with 4 tons of glass, and then after that, we'll stop making glass. And I just picked 4 tons because that's pretty much what I'm going to use today, so I wanted to have that much. We'll adjust that as things go on. Oh, we have water in here. That's a problem. I wonder what caused that. I think I need to work on handling that, because anytime water gets in there, what happens is it gets pumped into here, and then it gets released in here, and then it creates steam that I need to fix. So for now, I'm going to ignore it. That's the smart choice. So now that we have some glass, let's work on our solar panels first. So solar panels, back in the day, it used to be that the solar panels were more efficient if you placed one here, then you placed another one down that only was blocked by half of that, and then so each of these would only be blocked half, and that meant that both of them would work. That doesn't work anymore. So now the most efficient way to handle solar panels is to just place the solar panels right next to each other, because the solar panels will block the solar panels below them, so we can't do that. Everything here above here is transparent. It's the mesh tiles it can see through, the open doors it can see through, all of these buildings it can see through. So these panels, once we build them, will work just fine, and they will provide power to our grid. They will also, I'm going to make this go the whole way across because we're going to and they will also be protected by the mesh tile above. So anything that falls down won't land on our solar panel, so our solar panels will be fine. So it's the perfect space to fit in some solar panels. Each of these solar panels is going to generate some power for us. I'm not sure exactly how much. It's 380 watts. So we can fit, I think we can fit 20 of them in here, maybe 19. A little spotty with the math right now. It's 128 spots, so that would be 19 would fit into 120. No. Yeah, 19. Doing math while we're on the screen is a hassle, but we should actually move this over. I just realized I was a little too close there, because the blocks that are open are actually right here, so we could start right here. But yeah, so we can fit 19 of these across. So 19 times 380. I'm not even going to try to do that math on while I'm trying to place things, but it's a pretty decent amount of power, and it's free power whenever the space shield is open. So it just seems silly to not try to use it. So we have half the glass we need. We'll get the rest of them put out, and we'll get those connected and working. The next thing we want to work on is getting a telescope put in. So we'll do that once we get this power done and we get ready to actually start doing some space scanning today. So I've built our telescope. Telescope is a building that you just need to have clear view of the sky, which is another reason why having this setup is important. We can have this telescope see the sky, and we can have it protected whenever meteors come in. The telescope just needs 2 things: power, oxygen. I have oxygen on its way. I'm just pulling off of the line that goes to our Atmos suits for our plastic manufacturing, because we don't really need both those double lines there. So we can pull oxygen off here, no problem. So the oxygen is going to go in here. Now, to operate it, we need a duplicant that has the right skills. We already have our research duplicant, so I'm just going to check to make sure she is ready to go. We need astronomy. We don't quite need, I don't think, because we need that for the virtual planetarium. But for the telescope, I'm not sure what you need for the telescope or not. No, here, there we go. Telescope. Actually, I clicked off. Telescope is this one. This one is the virtual planetarium. That'll come in handy later. For now, this one's good. I'm just going to give her this one ahead of the game a while, because she has an affinity for it anyway. It won't cost that much morale, and it'll give us extra science. No problem. So once we go in here and select focus, she'll come up and she'll do some work. This building enables the star map. Now, the star map in the base game is quite a bit different than in the DLC. I've done a little bit of testing just so I kind of have a plan on what we're going to do. So to start, all we have to do is pick an object and hit analyze. And then the telescope is going to be used to do some analysis on that destination so we can know what's there. And this is how we research all the different sections of the star map until we actually send rockets to them. So in order to send a rocket there, we have to analyze it first because we can't launch a mission here. Actually, I'm not sure about that. If we have a rocket, we might be able to send it without it. I don't know. I don't think so, though. So we're going to work on doing some research here. I'll just be doing one after the other probably, and I'll show you when we get some interesting items. So I've been working on the telescope, doing some star map research, and it's been going well. We're up to the 50,000 kilometer mark. Just found the living planet. So if I hadn't had pips, I would now have pips, but I do have pips. But so we're working our way through. But while I was doing that, I was just noticing I had the doors here that would open and close to let the stuff drop down. And I was messing with the timing to try to minimize or maximize the amount of time that they were open. And then I realized I don't need the doors there for this setup because the doors were something I put in this design when I was doing it and spaced out. And I had the rocket bays underneath and the rockets would take off through this setup. And I don't have rockets under here. I just have the solar panels and the space scanners and the telescope. And they can see through the mesh tile just fine. So I replaced all of that with mesh tiles. So now, as soon as the bunker doors are open again, we can see space both with our solar panels and with our telescope and our space scanner. So the only downtime we have is the 44 seconds that the bunker doors take to close and the time that the meteor storms are open, and then the 44 seconds they take to open. I've also adjusted the timing on this filter gate to 145 seconds. So that means I get the signal about the meteor coming in. It's 200 seconds before it arrives. 145 seconds later, the doors start to close. So that's 55 seconds. That gives me 11 seconds leeway to make sure the doors are closed before the meteors come in. So that means I have 55 seconds before the doors, before the meteor storm for the doors to close, plus the meteor storm, and then the doors open right away, which takes 44 seconds. So I'm only losing an additional 99 seconds plus the meteor storm in time for our solar panels and our telescopes and things like that. So that's good. Now, that also meant that all the debris, when the robo-miners mine it, is going to be up in this area. So I played around with that a little bit, and I put in these auto sweepers. They can reach above and down here and cover the entire area, both above the robo-miners and below. And I put in like one conveyor loader for each one. So I'm actually just going to turn these on now. I want to set these to sweep up all items. We'll copy that setting across. And once I got them in, I needed to cool them. So I just changed the loop. Instead of it coming in from the top, it comes in across here, and then it comes back down through this whole line, cooling down the sweepers and everything. And then it goes back into storage. So still need to remove the old line now that it's emptied out of coolant. And I'm going to actually turn this off now because I have enough. I'll just set it to sweep only and turn it off. That way there's no deliveries being made up here, but I'll leave it there in case I need to connect it to send more coolant in later. But that means that we now have a cooled system that is working pretty efficiently, and we're sweeping up all the debris and collecting it into one tile. For now, I'm just dropping it here. I don't know exactly where the storage is going to be yet. I also would like to probably just send it to our main storage, but I have to set up a system to cool it down first, because you can see the regolith is 300 degrees, the copper's 282. Like, if I send that into my storage, it'll just cause all kinds of heat problems in the base, as we saw earlier with my arbor tree problems. So this is all working now, so I can keep plugging away and unlocking more and more asteroids, and we'll keep working on that while we start designing out our new rocket. I started working out where I want to put the rocket bay, and we're going to be doing an open rocket bay design where I just have bunker tiles lining the walls and the floors of it, where I have asteroids coming in. It's not going to be a problem. I'm not the automation using the space scanners to detect when a rocket is incoming. When I was testing it around, it's very inconsistent. It's very unlikely. It works fine, except that when a meteor storm is happening, it's hard to detect a rocket coming in, so it's hard to open up the doors for them. And so I very often had the rockets just coming in and demolishing the doors. And I really don't want to waste a whole bunch of steel every time I launch a rocket. So I'm just gonna have an open rocket bay. So I'm building this bunker tile wall here, and then I decided that while I still don't know what I want exactly I want to build in this facility down here, I do know that I want it to be filled in. So I filled in all the backing drywall and kind of lined out this area so that the whole thing is filled in. And then I'll refine it as I build facilities in here for our astronauts to live in and for whatever else we decide to put in this area. I think I may use this to build our monument when we get to that point. I'm not quite sure yet. I might also do that inside the Gravitas Monument area because, you know, that makes sense, but we'll see. I do want to utilize this area as much as I can just because I think it's very aesthetically pleasing to have this ancient Gravitas relic right in the middle of our new base area we're building, but there's a lot of build commands to do here, so we're doing that while our researcher continues to research planets. We're up to the 60,000 kilometer mark. As far as interesting ones that we haven't seen yet, we got some couple rocky asteroids. We got an ice one, and now we got the organic mass one, which means we have found our gassy moos. We still need to get there to get them back home so that we can tame them, but we have them. And we're working our way up just one at a time, continuing to scan all of our star map. So we're almost done building out the drywall and everything in this build here. I've been working on the star map every chance I can. The meteors are, interrupting us a little bit, but we have done pretty well. We've gotten the star map cleared all the way up to the 90,000 kilometer mark. We're almost done with that. And then we have a few more to go after that to get all the way to the top. I am going to take some time right now after we finish this little section here and just do a little AFK session here in this episode because I think I started this episode with 175 tons of steel or the space thing, so the last two episodes, and I'm down to 20, so I just need some time to recoup some of our steel. So we're at cycle 2937, probably let it go up to cycle 3000 so that we have some time to generate at least some more steel so we have some for building our rockets. Because the next thing I'm going to do is start working on getting this rocket bay set up. We're going to start small and just get a rocket going because I've done a little bit of research on the wiki and stuff like that to understand how rockets work in the base game, but I don't know a lot. And so I don't want to start building things and then realize I need to move them because I don't know it. I do know that the rockets are going to need to be 35 blocks tall is the maximum. And so we have tons of space up here. We have 35 blocks for the rocket plus 9 blocks for its exhaust plume. So if we go down... Oh, this is being difficult. If we go down from here, we want to have at least 44 blocks. So that's just down to here. And then we have all this space underneath it. So we have plenty of space to fit our rockets in. And then I want to build some space to recapture the heat from those, where the rockets generate heat and use that to make some more steam power kind of stuff. So we might put that in this area. We'll see. A lot of things to figure out, but I do, like I said, want to AFK just for a little while so that I can rebuild some resources because I'm making steel in my steel factory at about half a ton per cycle, but it is, I'm only at 20 tons right now, so I would probably run out fairly quickly. So I'm going to let it go, and then we will do some more work in this episode to finish out that rocket bay. So I did some AFKing, and I finished up our star map. Well, I'm on the last research or analysis, call it. So we're doing the last one there. We got some pretty cool ones. We have our gilded asteroid, so we can go and get our fullerene once we're able to get there, which we can use to make super coolant, which is pretty cool. We have niobium here on the helium giant. So lots of things that are going to be helpful for us. And we just need to start getting into rocketry in order to head out and start doing that. Now, as I've said before, the rockets in base game are a lot different. And so I know a little bit about them. And so I've been kind of laying out the area here just to kind of pre-plan what I want to do. And rockets do two different types of exhaust. So there's exhaust that comes out of the rocket as it takes off, like a steam rocket has steam that billows out. And so you can kind of collect some of that. And then also there's heat that comes out of the bottom. So rockets are 35 blocks tall at maximum. So if I'm going to have an open sky, I'm pretty sure I can go from here down and be 35 blocks. So this ladder row here represents where I need to build the base for the rockets. And then underneath that, there'll be a 9 block area, a 3x9 area behind the rocket. I guess it's I have this ladder 1 row 2. So let's replace that, mark it out. The idea is, at first what I want to do is I just want to have the rocket here so that I can take them off. And then the main goal is to use the area here to collect the heat that the rocket generates into a way that I can use it. And that's going to be using some diamond window tile to have the heat get absorbed, and then we'll connect that up into a heat exchanger that goes into a steam room so that we can get the steam heated, and then we'll regulate how much heat we dump in so that we keep the steam at 200 degrees and use it to generate some power. We can also use it to generate some extra steam to repower the steam rockets. So that's the kind of stuff I need to worry about working out. But so I think the first step I want to do is I'm going to put bunker tile across the bottom of this area where the rockets are going to be. And so these triple ladders just represent where I'm going to be leaving the roof on. So if I put this across the bottom like this, that will start doing it. And I did a triple ladder. I just thought it looked kind of cool. But we're going to have entryways at the bottom like this one so that we can get in and out. Because eventually we will block in this entire area so that the steam that it exhausts, or later carbon dioxide, I guess, from different rockets, will be trapped in there, and we can maybe capture some of it. I don't know if that's going to be worth the effort, but we'll see. You know, I want to be able to have that option. So we're going to have a row of bunker tiles here for the bottom of the rocket bay, and then that'll give us the space down here below where we can connect up the heat transfer mechanics. And the reason I want bunker tile is because I'm going to be leaving this open, and so I don't want anything in here where when the meteors come in, they're going to cause damage, except for the ladders. And these ladders I just put every 3 across because I'm going to be removing them all to come down so that we can do the rocket. I just want to be able to reach the top and then go down level time. So I'm going to finish doing these corners so I can get a good way to get in and out of our rocket bay. I am putting a liquid lock up here just in case I do back this in. I don't want steam billowing out over here into the vacuum and getting lost, though it's going to be open at the top, so it's kind of futile. But I thought, why not? So yeah, I'm working out a few last details, and then we'll remove the ladders and we'll put down our first rocket and make sure everything fits. And then the next episode is when we'll actually start, hopefully, launching our first rocket. So I decided to move the floor of a rocket bay down a little bit. I want to have a little extra space at the top so I can put a ladder there so that we can get around at the top as we go. I also cleared out this space for our first rocket, and everything is ready to go for us to remove the roof above it. So we're definitely going to have to work out how to handle regolith builds up when meteors land, but because everything's made from bunker tiles, we shouldn't have to deal with any damage, I think. But it's kind of like we have to do it to see what the issues are going to be. I plan to have like robo miners that will be able to, if we place them in underneath where the cover is, it would be able to clear out this whole area future, but I want to kind of figure out what the need is going to be before I start building those kinds of things. So we're going to just get things started here with our first rocket. And to place a rocket down, all we have to do is put down an engine first, which is going to take some steel. And then once the engine's placed, we'll be able to add modules to it. So for our modules for the first rocket we're going to do all research modules. And so we just place them down, put them as we go. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is going to be the max we can do because we need to add a command capsule. So once we get this set up, we'll be able to see what we need in order to actually launch this rocket. All right, our rocket is built. We still have a few things that we're missing in order to be able to get the rocket off the ground. Some of them are easier than others. One is that we need to put in a gantry. So I'm going to remove some ladders here. One of the reasons I made this 3 wide so that when I have to put gantry in, they can still get around it. And then when I put in sweepers and stuff, then we can still have a lot of flexibility in movement for the duplicate. So the gantry is just a simple block where we put it down and it extends out over the rocket. So I think we need to have this tile also in so that we can do that because it needs to have the spot where the power goes. Maybe, I'm not sure. I always struggle when I try to build these, getting them exactly right. But what we do need to do is get power over here to the rocket bay. So what I'm going to do is just come right through the wall and then come down like this. And then we'll put in a heavy watt conductor joint plate here. That'll give us what we need to power the gantry. Gantries use 1200 watts, so running a smaller line for it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Wouldn't be able to have much more else on that. So let's see. Okay, perfect. So if we put this here, so we want it to be, I think we want it to be right there. We want to make sure this part is underneath the coverage because this part can get damaged. I think that should be okay. I'm not sure with meteors. Sometimes they can come in at an angle. We may still have some issues with that, and we'll just have to deal with it. And we're going to want to put in power to this, and then we're also going to want an automation wire so that we can open and close the gantry. I'm going to put it, I think I'm actually going to put them over onto the other side here. That's where I'm going to have the switch. So let's do that for now. That way I don't have to worry about open or removing any other ladder. And so that'll allow us to get an astronaut in here. As far as our astronauts go, I think it's time for us to pick who we're going to make our first astronaut. And I think the easiest way is to do somebody that we haven't assigned much skills to yet. And so our options are Bubbles and Bert. Bert has the more skill points. Go with him first. To make him an astronaut, we need to do rocket pilot, which means we need to start here and here, work our way down all of this skill line to get to rocket pilot. He has affinity here as well for suit training, for exosuit training and rocket pilot, which also help with his morale, which is great. And once we have him assigned, we can just assign him to this rocket. Let's do that. Give him a rocket pilot. We need to get the gantry built so he can go there. We need to deliver an Atmos suit. We have extra ones, so we should be able to do that once we have an ability to get out there with the gantry. And then we need to set a destination for the rocket. And so, to do that, we need to look at our destinations and determine how much fuel and thrust we need to get. So for these early ones, they're fairly easy. And so there's not a lot of calculation we need to do. We can just fill them up with steam and we'll be able to get there. So the next thing we need to do to get this rocket off the ground is get a steam setup going. And I think that what we're going to do is we're going to take a break here. We've gotten a lot done, gotten the rocket bay built, gotten all of this stuff finished out. And then next episode, we will get our first rocket launched. We'll start doing some research, which will allow us to unlock the other rocket types. And then we can really start building our rocket bay because we'll know how the rockets work. We'll know the different types of rockets that we're going to have. and we'll have a better plan for what we want to do as far as getting the rockets going. So for now, we're going to call it a day, but we've gotten a lot done and we made a lot of progress. We are that much closer to having conquered space in the base game. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.